So the Epstein files, the first chunk, have finally dropped. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you, Attorney General Pam Bondi. Thanks goes to the FBI Director Kash Patel, everybody who voted for Donald Trump. So much about this guy, what he was up to, misunderstood, not understood at all, unknown. And how about how he died? We all know, right? Although some people out there think he's still alive. Maybe we'll find out the answers, the true answers, in this, the first chunk of the Epstein files that dropped today. I don't think it's a game changer yet. It looks like our government may have withheld even more documents from the Attorney General and the FBI Director. I've been through as much of this as I can. There's an old phone book from the 1990s. A lot of names are in that thing, okay? That's years before Jeffrey Epstein ever got in trouble. And the rest of it is kind of a bust. Take a look at this, for example. This is, I don't know, a sheet out of a spiral notebook. It's all redacted, never different times, and then it just goes away. There's a lot of redactions, a lot of that stuff. There's a lot of this stuff, codes and numbers that don't seem to mean much of anything. He set up a MySpace account at one point. And this, it's redacted. Was it a ticket from the Palm Beach Police Department? Can you see it? It's just, it's not all that, folks. It's just not all that. However, it doesn't mean it's not over, okay? It's not over at all. There could be, actually there will be phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. And the Attorney General right now is said to be mad that the Southern District of New York, the big fiefdom of elite attorneys, part of the federal government, is trying to perhaps retain important documents related to all this stuff. They're the ones who tried Ghislaine Maxwell. The whole thing is a bit of a mystery, isn't it? Epstein. How did that guy get so rich? What did he have on people? Was he blackmailing people? And how did he die, if he did die? This is a picture from inside his prison cell. All this orange stuff all strewn all over the place. Is that where he hanged himself? All the cameras were off at exactly the right time? No, I don't believe it. I don't think most thinking Americans believe that. Here's something that's really odd about the whole thing, too. You know, he died, we think, in the Bureau of Prisons, which is run by the Department of Justice. And at the time when he died, that was run by the Attorney General, Bill Barr. Remember that. Back in the 1970s, Epstein was a teacher at the Dalton School on the Upper East Side of New York. Now, that's notable because Jeffrey Epstein did not graduate from college. And this is one of those snobby, private, elite prep schools. And everybody went to Princeton, Harvard, Yale, that kind of thing. And he gets a teaching job there in the math department. Now, the person we believe hired him was a guy by the name of Donald Barr. All right, Barr. Let's go to the next slide, please. Former headmaster of the Dalton School. And, yep, father of Bill Barr, the Attorney General, who was running the Bureau of Prisons at the time of his death. I'm not saying anything, but I'm saying that looks awfully weird, doesn't it? It does. It is. The whole damn case is. And so is this. Epstein. You know, even after he was convicted of molesting girls a long time ago, like 15, 17 years ago, something like that, he still had friends from all over the place, in high places, very high places. For all the pictures we've seen of Epstein, though, have you ever heard him talk? I watch a lot of documentaries. You never hear the guy talk. Well, we found some footage, and we just thought it would be interesting. This is what the guy sounds like, or sounded like.
Were you sexually abused as a minor?
You know, I'd like to respond to all your, if any, questions seem to be relevant, but I would like to respond to any relevant question at this time. However, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to the questions relevant to this lawsuit today. I must accept their advice or risk losing my Sixth Amendment right to effective representation. Accordingly, then, I assert my Fifth, Sixth, and 14th Amendment right to the United States Constitution.
Kind of an ordinary guy. I don't know if I buy this whole thing. He was a genius and made all kinds of money through the markets. Maybe he had another way of making money. So 17 years ago or so, actually, when was that? 2008, he was convicted getting underage girls to give him massages. Let's go to the sentence. The sentence was very, very light. He, one count of solicitation, one count of solicitation prostitution. And how much time did he get? Like a couple of months in weekend jail. Weekend jail. That's it. How did he get such a sweetheart deal? And why is it, even after the guy goes down for hanging around with girls, right, underage, and doing stuff with them, why does he retain so many friendships post-conviction? You know who visited him during I think it was the Obama administration? This guy. His name is William Burns. No. We jumped ahead of ourselves, folks. We did a little bit, but that's okay. Let's tell you. All right. There's William Burns. William Burns is the Central Intelligence Agency director, was under Joe Biden, but you know what? Forget that guy. Forgive me. Let's go back to those two pictures of the middle-aged guy getting the massage. Yep, that's Bill Clinton, everybody. Bill Clinton. Now, in Bill Clinton's defense, this was before Epstein went down. This is September of 2002. And the girl giving him a massage at some airport somewhere is 22 years of age. All right? So do we give Bill Clinton a pass for hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein before the conviction? I think you can make that case. I do, actually. But you can't make that case for the guy I showed you a few moments ago. The CIA director, Burns, under Joe Biden. He was Deputy Secretary of State, I believe, under Obama. And the guy visits Jeffrey Epstein at his house. Why would he do that? Recently, relatively recently, and he admitted it. The Wall Street Journal broke the story. They first met in Washington, and then Mr. Burns visited Epstein's townhouse in Manhattan. Epstein offered general advice on the transition to the private sector, according to the CIA spokesperson. The director did not know anything about him. Typical CIA, right? They know nothing. Mr. Burns met with Epstein as he was preparing to leave government service. Of course you check in with a guy who's, right? Of course you do, if you're the CIA director. Well, that is pretty crazy. And it's also pretty crazy that these guys were hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein post-conviction. Who are these guys? Well, they're rich guys, including a very rich and influential person, Bill Gates, who's buying farmland and doing all kinds of things with vaccines, right? That's post-conviction. Why would they do that? I mean, there are certain people you really should keep your distance from, right? Child molesters. I think it's okay to shun them a little bit. Everybody has a future, and I think anybody can be rehabilitated. But a lot of people were giving this guy too much of the benefit of the doubt, don't you think? Now, it's true. Donald Trump's name pops up in this thing. Back in the 1990s, he was in Jeffrey Epstein's phone book like everybody. The guy was in New York. Everybody knew him. And he was also in Palm Beach. Let me see here. We have that video. Yeah, check this out. The fake news acts like this is a smoking gun. Here he is socializing with Jeffrey Epstein at Mar-a-Lago. And yeah, this did happen.
Trump is seen talking to Epstein and another man as women are dancing in front of them. Trump alternates between dancing and pointing out women to Epstein and the other man and telling Epstein about the cameras. Though exactly what they say is difficult to understand as they discuss the women and their appearances.
Oh, my God, they were discussing the appearances of women. Who does that? Anyway, you see Trump dancing a little bit, the dance we know. This was in 1992, 13 years before Epstein went down for, the sordid behavior. And he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago at one point. Donald Trump is not implicated in any of this stuff. He had Jeffrey Epstein, got a sense that he was a bad guy, and kept his distance from him. All right. Next, please.
Do you want them to rein in Robert Mueller?
What a stupid question that is. What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
All right. So very few people do that, right? A stupid question. tell them it's a stupid question, and move on. But the media, if you really listen to what they're asking, they ask pointed questions that, if answered candidly, could lead to, well, international havoc, right? I mean, some of their questions, well, they're kind of absurd, and they shouldn't be answered for the good of the world. Now, do we have the town hall moment? Okay. This is a great example of that. You don't want to pick sides when you're about to be the president, and you may want to be the guy who brokers peace between Russia and Ukraine.
Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people and breaking down this country. Now,
What do you, can I just follow up on that? You said you don't think in terms of winning and losing. Mr. President, can I just follow up on that, because that's a really important statement that you just made there. Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying, Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to.
That's a great answer. Now, Caitlin, whatever her name, she just wants to make news, get the Associated Press to write something. Oh, President Trump said this. But, you know, if he said the Russians, if he said the Ukrainians, that would have had real-world implications, real-world negative implications, and that's what the media do a lot. They don't care. They just want to make a name for themselves or get noticed. Whatever the ramifications are, they don't seem to really care about that stuff. This was kind of highlighted and illustrated brilliantly many years ago. Do you remember the Gulf War? We're about to, this is the first Gulf War. Saddam Hussein invented Kuwait, and a lot of Americans noticed, man, the reporters are real jerks, asking all kinds of stupid questions. Well, SNL, back when it was funny, did a great job mocking them.
I'm happy to take any questions that you might have, with the understanding that there are certain sensitive areas that I'm just not going to get into, particularly information that might be useful to the enemy.
Yes. What date are we going to start the ground attack?
Well, as I mentioned a moment ago, there are certain sensitive areas which we are just not going to go into, and that is certainly one of them.
Colonel, knowing what you know, where would you say our forces are most vulnerable to attack, and how could the Iraqis best exploit those weaknesses?
And the whole country thought it was funny, because it was funny. Although it's kind of not funny, right? They have no sense of responsibility, no sense of duty to the country or discretion. I guess you don't really think of that coming from a reporter, and people want to make news. There has to be a happy median, maybe. All right, next. So they're at it again. Crazy terrorists in American colleges being ignorant and supporting barbarian murderers, Hamas, those kinds of people, saying that they're the good guys. They took over a building at Columbia University. Took a whole damn thing over. Columbia University, one of the elite colleges, used to be. Who are these children? And they're children when you're in college, right? Who are they supporting? They are supporting terrorists. They took over a building at Columbia this week, just as those masked men, barbarian terrorists, right, transferred the baby back to Israel. Kafir Bibis was murdered by these guys, and they glorify what they did. It is insane. It's insane what we're seeing from that university. Inside and outside, these are crazy people, and they're American. These are Americans. They come from American households, and they've been watching American media, and they're cheering on the Intifada. You know who should be there decrying all of it? Leaders, right? Leaders, because this is going to pick up. This is going to be the new spring break, right? This is going to be the cool thing to do this semester.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.